Peace, y'all. It's mizChartreuse here with WildSeedAstro, and I'm here to bring you the video on the Gemini Ascendant. So let's start at the beginning. What is an Ascendant sign? There is a sign on the eastern side of the horizon, which was rising at the moment you were born. So every 2 hours the Ascendant changes because there's 12 signs in the zodiac and 24 hours in a day. So this is why people can be born on the same day but have different qualities or different characteristics, because the Ascendant sign is going to determine which sign, first off, is on the eastern horizon, which is going to be the cusp of your first house, and then that, the Ascendant, denotes where every other sign falls in your chart. So if you have a Gemini Ascendant, this means that when you were born, Gemini was on the eastern horizon. Now the Ascendant, being that that is the entrance into the first house, and the first house is the house of identity, it's the house of self, the Ascendant is going to basically inform how you move through the world. It's going to inform how you see the world, and it's also going to influence how other people perceive you. So the Ascendant is kind of like the mask. It's the mask of self. It's the presentation of self in everyday life. Now your ego and your sun, that's your basic personality, right? Your moon is your subconscious emotions and your deep ways of being. It's who you are without even really thinking about it. Your sun is more of like the personality that you're here to embody and be, whereas the Ascendant is the mask. It's how you move through the world, it's how other people perceive you, and it's how you perceive the world. So, to have a Gemini Ascendant, what does this mean? This means that you appear to be very Gemini in quality. So, a Gemini is the communicator. So you might talk with your hands a lot. You might have this look about you that you're ready to spring into action. Gemini is very mental. It's ruled by Mercury. So a Gemini rising person may constantly be thinking and on the go and really be analytical and just approach life from this very analytical lens. Gemini ascendants talk. They love to talk. Even if they have a lot of earth or they're really grounded in other ways, ultimately you are going to come off and appear as someone who is ready and willing to talk. Look at the mouth lines of a Gemini rising. These people are ready to open their mouths and keep talking to you. They sure are. Whether you realize it or not, they are really going to have this embodiment and this persona of somebody who's really ready and willing to communicate. It's really funny. So they like to keep busy. They have high spirits. They're very positive and uplifting and bubbly. They also have this inner sense of knowing that they know. Like I said, Gemini ruled by Mercury. It's about the brain and it's about communication and mental processes. Let's think about Gemini also. Gemini, the glyph of Gemini is the two pillars connected by the crescent above and below. And to be Gemini and to embody Gemini is to take that middle path throughout. Gemini will connect one side with the other. Gemini is duality. It can see multiple sides of your situation. Gemini oscillates. Gemini is not necessarily this or that. Gemini is mutable. Mutable signs are very fluid. They can shift and go with the flow. Geminis are very open and they're good at transitioning and completing things. Being a mutable sign, Gemini ascendants tend to be very concerned with the ability to transform. And transforming occurs also in a very detached way. It's very mental. It's not so much emotional. It deals with the social realms and connecting. Gemini is really good at taking the different threads of life and weaving them together into one cohesive home. So when we think about consciousness, everything is consciousness, right? The universe is mental. Consciousness is the building block of reality. Thoughts create things, and Gemini's sign is I think, therefore I am. So Gemini really is the first appearance of humans in the zodiac. When we start with Aries, Aries is the ram, and then we have Taurus. Taurus is the bull. Then we have Gemini, the third sign, which is the twins. It's interesting also that with Gemini, it's not one human figure, but two. And the two symbolizes the duality. It symbolizes the importance of relating and partnerships. Gemini really is about knowing oneself through the reflection of another. And this is why I say when consciousness pertains to the concept of Gemini, that Gemini really is all about integrating all into this one unifying collective, recognizing that it's not one way or the other way. It doesn't have to be your way or the highway. Gemini is very all-inclusive, very fluid, and very open. One of the detriments of Gemini is thinking too much, and so it behooves Gemini natives to Gemini Ascendant natives to really take the time to meditate and to gain some perspective on the mental process. Otherwise, the mind just keeps on going. Now, keep in mind that with the Ascendant is really the mask. The Ascendant is not necessarily how these people feel within. If somebody has a lot of Earth in their chart, they might be a Gemini Rising, but also still be very fundamentally private. This is just how they appear and how they come off. So when people meet them, they might come off and really seem like lighthearted, and they might approach life in a very Gemini manner, where they are able to connect with people, and they're able to just kind of be open and be able to see the common humanity in all of us. This doesn't necessarily mean that this is how they really feel on the subconscious level or deep down inside, but this means that they are able to channel that energy in terms of dealing with the outside world. They're charming, and they're very warm, and very much so in tune with the lighter side of life. These are the gifts of the Gemini Ascendant. And if you have a Gemini Rising, then that means that your descendant, which is your opposite sign, the first house is your sign of identity. The descendant is the cusp of the 7th house, and that is the entrance into the world of others. So the 7th house, or the descendant cusp, is your other half. The other half of Gemini would be Sagittarius. So if you have a Gemini Ascendant, then Sagittarius being on the cusp of your 7th house means that you would attract people to you who embody the qualities of Sagittarius. So if Gemini is the sign of collecting information and being very mental and communicative, and loves education and connecting to siblings, and these are the keywords of Gemini, then its complement, its opposite sign, Sagittarius, is about taking the information that you gather in Gemini and implementing it in a very high-minded way. So to have Sagittarius in your 7th house means that you attract people who really stimulate your mind and can take things to the next level. Sagittarius is very good at implementing and applying the knowledge to practice, whereas Gemini can be a jack of many trades and a master of few. Sagittarius can really focus and ground and apply it into practical, tangible use. So these are the kinds of people that you may be attracted to, since Sagittarius is in your 7th house as a Gemini Ascendant. So remember, everything is consciousness, everything is one, and Gemini Ascendants really know and embody that. A good way for Gemini to start the day is through getting right into action or some kind of communication or expression. If you have a Gemini Ascendant, you can wake up and just kind of instantly be mentally active. Whereas other signs, other ascendants may need to start the day by taking a run, as Sydney shared in her Aries video, or by being silent in some other ways. Gemini can get right into the action. They're just ready to go because it's like their minds never turn off. So again, a remedy for Gemini Rising: take time to meditate and be still. Meditation, as we discussed, can look like so many different things. You can have a walking meditation, you can have a moving meditation, but I will say that for Gemini, it really would behoove a Gemini Rising to really take the time just to practice silencing the mind. Meditation can be challenging, but that's why they call it a practice, because you have to work at it. It's not like we can just sit down and be like, okay, I'm not thinking about anything. Because you're thinking about something and you're thinking about not thinking. But to take that idea and really embody the notion of practicing mindfulness and presence and stillness, then you can really channel productive qualities of Gemini Rising. So there we have it. Thanks for watching. Remember, we are the ones that we've been waiting for, and subscribe to WildSeedAstro to keep up with all of our astrological information. Peace!